Her father said, "I'm fine," for 11 months. He was not fine. Rachel found out the truth in an emergency room at 2 in the morning, when a doctor told her that the infection in her father's leg had been developing for weeks, that the wound had gone untreated, and that he'd been in significant pain for a long time. She stood there trying to reconcile that with the man she'd spoken to on the phone 3 days earlier, who had told her, cheerfully, as always, that everything was fine. But it wasn't just the wound. As the truth came out over the following weeks, so did everything else. He'd fallen twice and told nobody. He'd been skipping medications because he couldn't afford the refills. He'd stopped driving at night months ago because he couldn't see well enough, and had simply stopped going anywhere after dark rather than mention it. He'd been eating almost nothing because chewing had become painful. 11 months of concealment. And in all that time, every single time she asked, he said the same 2 words. Rachel was devastated, and then she was angry. Why wouldn't he tell me? And then, eventually, she understood something that changed how she cared for her father for the rest of his life. He wasn't hiding things because he was stubborn or proud or trying to protect her feelings. He was hiding them because he was afraid of what would happen if he told the truth. I'm telling you Rachel's story today because this is one of the most important and least understood dynamics in all of elder care. Older adults conceal falls, pain, confusion, money problems, fear, symptoms at a rate that would shock most families. And the concealment is the reason so much goes undetected until it becomes a crisis. Today I'm going to show you exactly why your parent hides things, what they hide most often, the signs that concealment is happening, and this is the part I most want you to stay for, the specific questions that get past "I'm fine," and how to make it safe for your parent to tell you the truth. Because here's the truth at the center of this video. Your parent is not being difficult. They are protecting something, and once you understand what, you can change everything about how they talk to you. Before we go further, if you've been getting "I'm fine" from a parent you're worried about, this video will change how you ask. Share it with the family members who help care for your parent. And if you haven't subscribed to this channel yet, do it now. Every week one publish content exactly like this, clinical, honest, and built for families navigating the care of an aging parent. Subscribe so you don't miss what's coming. Let me start with the why, because everything depends on understanding it. When an older adult hides a fall, a pain, or a struggle, there's usually a calculation happening underneath. One, they may never say out loud, and may not even fully articulate to themselves. The calculation is this: if I tell them, what will it cost me? And in their mind, the answer is often terrifying. It might cost them the car keys. It might cost them the house, because a fall reported is a fall on the record, and enough of those and someone starts talking about assisted living. It might cost them the right to make their own decisions. Every admission of difficulty feels, to them, like handing over another piece of their independence. Layered on top of that is a generational factor. Many older adults were raised in a culture where complaining was weakness, where you handled your own problems, where you didn't burden others with your troubles. Stoicism was a virtue. Asking for help was a failure. That conditioning doesn't disappear at 75. Then there's the fear of being a burden, which is enormous and deeply painful. Your parents spent decades as the one who took care of you. Becoming someone who needs taking care of is a role reversal that many find humiliating, so they minimize because they'd rather suffer quietly than see worry on your face or feel like a weight on your life. And there's fear of the truth itself. Sometimes an older adult isn't just hiding it from you, they're avoiding facing it themselves. If I don't mention the memory lapses, maybe they're nothing. If I don't get the pain checked, maybe it isn't serious. So when your father says, "I'm fine," he usually isn't lying to deceive you. He's protecting his independence, his dignity, his self-image, and often, in his mind, protecting you as well. That reframe matters because it changes your response from frustration to strategy. Now, what do they hide most? Let me name the specific things because knowing what's most commonly concealed tells you where to look. Falls are at the top of the list, and they're the most consequential. Older adults hide falls precisely because a reported fall is the classic trigger for a family conversation about independence. So they get up, they say nothing, and the single most important warning sign of future serious injury goes unrecorded. Pain is second. Chronic pain is massively underreported in older adults, both because of stoicism and because many believe pain is simply an unavoidable part of aging that nothing can be done about. Memory and confusion, perhaps the most frightening thing to admit because of what it might mean. People develop sophisticated strategies to cover cognitive lapses, sometimes for years. Financial problems, struggling to afford medications, being scammed, mismanaging bills. Shame around money is powerful, and admitting financial trouble feels like admitting total failure. Loneliness and depression rarely volunteered. Because I'm lonely feels pathetic to say out loud, especially to your own children. Incontinence and bathroom problems, hidden almost universally out of pure embarrassment. And difficulty with daily tasks, bathing, dressing, cooking, managing the house. These get hidden because each one is a visible loss of self-sufficiency. If you're finding this valuable, and I hope you are, take 1 second right now and hit the like button. It genuinely helps this content reach other families who keep hearing, "I'm fine," and sensing it isn't true. Like and keep watching. So how do you detect concealment? You watch behavior, not words, because the words will always be, "I'm fine." Watch for avoidance. A parent who deflects, changes the subject, gets vague, or answers a different question than the one you asked. Watch for the topic that somehow never gets discussed. Watch for physical evidence that contradicts the story. Unexplained bruises. A limp, they say, is nothing. Weight loss. Medication bottles that are too full or too empty. Expired food, unopened mail. Watch for shrinking life. Activities quietly abandoned, invitations declined, places no longer visited. When someone stops doing something they loved without a clear reason, the reason usually exists. They just haven't told you. Rachel's father stopped going out after dark and never mentioned why. Watch for irritability when you probe. Defensiveness is often the sound of someone protecting something. If a gentle question produces a disproportionate reaction, that's information. And watch for the too quick reassurance. "I'm fine," delivered instantly, before you've even finished asking, is a reflex, not an answer. Now the most valuable part of this video. How to ask questions that get past, "I'm fine." The core problem is that how are you, and are you okay, are socially closed questions. They have a script, and the script is fine. You have to ask questions that don't fit that script. Be specific instead of general. Don't ask, "How's your health?" Ask, "How are your knees on the stairs this week?" A specific question is much harder to deflect with a generic answer. Ask about behavior, not feelings. Don't ask, "Are you eating well?" Ask, "What did you have for lunch yesterday?" Concrete, factual questions bypass the impulse to reassure. Ask about the past, not the present. Have you had any falls in the last few months? It's easier to answer honestly than "Are you falling?" because the past feels less like an admission of current incapacity. Normalize before you ask. A lot of people your age have trouble with this. Has that been happening to you? Removes shame from the answer. Shame is the main obstacle. Take it away and the truth becomes much cheaper to tell. Ask what's gotten harder. What's harder now than it was a year ago? Is a beautiful question because it assumes change without assigning blame, and it invites your parent to narrate rather than confess. Sit with the silence. After you ask, don't fill the pause. Most people fill silence with the truth if you let it stretch, and observe rather than interrogate. Some of the most important information comes not from asking, but from spending unhurried time, cooking a meal together, going along to an appointment, taking a walk. Concealment is exhausting to maintain. Given enough relaxed time, it slips. But the questions only work if the environment is safe, and this is the part that matters most. Your parent is hiding things because they fear the consequence of telling. So the single most powerful thing you can do is change what they believe the consequence will be. Say it explicitly, and say it before you need it. If you tell me you fell, I'm not going to use that to take away your independence. I want to know so we can keep you safe here in your home for as long as possible. That sentence, that promise, is worth more than any clever question because it directly addresses the fear driving the concealment. Then prove it with your reaction. The first time your parent admits something, how you respond will determine whether they ever do it again. If you react with alarm, lectures, or immediate talk of moving them somewhere, you have just taught them that honesty is punished. Stay calm. Thank them for telling you. Respond proportionately. Involve them in every solution. If your mother admits she's struggling with the stairs, don't announce what will happen. Ask, "What do you think would help?" Concealment is about losing control. Sharing control removes the reason to conceal, and frame help as preserving independence, not replacing it. A grab bar isn't evidence she can't manage. It's the thing that lets her keep managing. This is the moment where I want to ask you something directly. If this video has explained something you've been struggling with, if you've been frustrated by a parent who insists they're fine, while you can see they aren't, share it with your siblings and the others who help, because this only works if everyone in the family responds to honesty the same way. One person who reacts with alarm can undo it for everybody. Share it. Leave a comment below telling me what your parent has hidden or what question finally worked. Other families will learn from it, and subscribe if you haven't yet. Here's what your family can do. Today, stop asking, "Are you okay?" Replace it with one specific question about a knee, a stair, a meal, a night's sleep. Just one. See what comes back. This week, make the promise out loud. Tell your parent in plain words that telling you the truth will not cost them their independence, and that you want to know so they can stay where they are, safely. That single conversation can change everything. Also this week, watch behavior over words. Look for the abandoned activity, the unexplained bruise, the topic that never comes up, and spend some unhurried time together, because that's when things slip out. Ongoing, react calmly every time they're honest. Involve them in every decision, and frame every bit of help as protecting their independence rather than removing it. Here's what I want you to carry with you from today. When Rachel finally understood why her father had hidden 11 months of struggle, she said something to him that she later described as the most important sentence of their relationship. She told him, "I'd rather know and figure it out with you than find out in an emergency room again. Nothing you tell me is going to take your house away." It took time, but he started telling her things. Small things at first, a bad night, a sore knee, and then bigger ones. The last 2 years of his life were harder in some ways because she knew what was actually happening. They were also enormously better because problems got solved while they were still small. Your parent is probably carrying something right now that they haven't told you. Not because they don't trust you, but because they're afraid of what the truth will cost them. You can change that cost, and the moment you do, they will start telling you what's really going on, which is the only way you can actually help. The next time you hear "I'm fine," try believing something else instead. Asterisk, there's something they're protecting. Asterisk, then make it safe to put it down. If this video gave you something real, something you're going to try this week or send to your siblings, please take a moment to like it. Share it with the people who share your parents' care, because everyone needs to respond to honesty the same way. And leave a comment below telling me what you're navigating, what's worked for your family, or what you wish you'd known sooner. I read every single one. And if you haven't subscribed to this channel yet, please subscribe. This is where I publish honest, clinical, practical guidance for families trying to do right by the people they love every single week. Thank you for being here and for caring enough to watch all the way to the end. That attention is exactly what makes the difference. I'll see you soon.